in trouble.
It's going to get there.
He turned 32 yesterday. Does he have a vintage moment in him? In the end zone, it is caught for the win.
McNabb loading up deep for Deshaun Jackson. He hauled it in. Oh, wow. Did he get over the goal line?
All right, back here with another episode of Football Thursday here. I'm your host, Condog209, just rolling in with the new top 15 rankings here for college footballs. And yes, I have actually, went in and changed them unlike the last week because there was really no necessary reason to. So let's take a look here. The top four have not changed, so no need to talk about that until they get into bigger games. But number 5, I have squeaked Auburn in there. Auburn has got victories over two very good ranked teams, Oregon and Texas A&M. I'll go about why Texas A&M's on my list later when I get to Texas A&M, but that is why I have them jumping Ohio State, and I have them jumping Oklahoma because of that. And pretty much they are stagnant at the moment. They just, haven't played the teams yet, but they do have a pretty good game coming up this week, actually, and I'm going to talk about that when I talk about my games to watch. So let's go to number 8 there, Wisconsin. Holy cow, holy Toledo, holy burrito, holy Mother Mary. I mean, Wisconsin has came to play this year. I mean, again, this season, they didn't allow a touchdown for 10 straight quarters. That's pretty impressive, and it was almost 11 quarters, but Michigan scored in the last 2 to 3 minutes of the third quarter. That could have gone over to the fourth quarter, but Wisconsin's defense, Joe Klatt said it when calling the game. He said this was the worst offensive line he's seen from Michigan in over 10 years, in a decade. So that's pretty bad. That's just pretty bad right there. But Wisconsin, they looked great on offense. They looked great on defense. They were at home. They have a great student section. They just played an amazing game. They had a great game plan, and they totally shut down Khaki Pants Jim Harbaugh and his shenanigans. Yeah, Wisconsin, they have a shot to win the Big 12 because they're in the opposite division of Ohio State and Michigan, actually. Michigan does have a chance, to maybe get a rematch if they do beat Ohio State, but I don't think so. But it is a possibility, folks, just because, conference record matters, but division conference record also matters, too, if you want to get into your conference championship game. So let's move on to Texas. The Texas Longhorns, they escaped that upset from Oklahoma State. Again, Joe Klatt did say watch out for Oklahoma State, so that is exactly what happened. They watched out, and they had to play a pretty good team, and they won it. They snuck a win. And number 10, it's going to just stay as the Florida Gators for now. They just got bumped down just because of Wisconsin needing the bump up. And then number 11, Penn State, I believe, just been stagnant there. Yeah, on the outside of the top 10 looking in. And number 12, Notre Dame, they played a game against Georgia in Georgia. And here's the thing, Notre Dame. Just join the ACC already. Without a conference championship, you're going to win one less game than other teams. And with you not being undefeated, you're going to have to hope for a lot of two-loss teams. It's not beneficial. I mean, just join the ACC. Look, you played at Louisville. You're going to play Virginia this week. You've got Virginia Tech. You got at Duke. You got Boston College. Just swallow your pride and join the conference. I mean, I'm going to take a look at this. This also helps with recruiting battles as well, because let's just go to the SEC here. They all kind of recruit the same top prospects in the same area. Georgia, Florida, Bama, LSU, Auburn, they have pretty much the same recruiting floor. They have the same, locale, region, all of that, and then, national top prospects. So let's say you are a cornerback who has 12 interceptions in high school. Your rival cornerback at the crosstown school has 10 interceptions. And Nick Saban goes to his house, and, whoever's coaching LSU at the time, I was about to say Les Miles, but I know he's the coach of Kansas right now, and the coach of LSU totally slipped my mind at the moment, but you get the point. You're like, well, I guess I'm going to go to LSU, just screw Bama. they want a guy who's worse than me. I'm going to go to their top rival in the SEC West and go and kick their butt when we play them, either in Baton Rouge or in Tuscaloosa, maybe both years. See, that's the thing. Clemson's kind of needing that at the moment because they are the top dog in the ACC all alone. Miami and Florida State and Virginia Tech. Yeah, it just really helps the ACC out. I mean, I don't know why the ACC hasn't told you this, Notre Dame, because you're in the ACC for every other thing. Because, well, you need to make the playoffs in the conference. You have to in every other sport, but, to win the championship in college for the longest time, you didn't need, you just had to, play decent opponents, go undefeated, and you'll get the title game, whether it be the Rose Bowl, the Orange Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, whatever bowl, Fruit Loop cereal bowls. But that's not the case anymore, and Notre Dame's trying to be old heads here and thinking they can rely on their name. They haven't won a New Year's Six Bowl, this decade, the last decade, this century, the 2000s. They have not won a New Year's Six Bowl. They haven't won any meaningful bowl. They've been stomped out of the building time and time again, whether it was Clemson last year or LSU in a Sugar Bowl or what you know the drill, or Alabama in the BCS championship. And I think it hurts your recruiting because of that, because your rivals are SC, Stanford, and Michigan. Michigan's the only one close to you, geography-wise. Well, Stanford and SC are in the pack, and they get, the same people that Oregon gets, and Cal, and honestly, Utah, too. Utah is a top program. But they are kicked out of the top 15 because of a certain loss they had this week. That was not pretty. But on to Oregon. The Oregon Ducks here, they got a win versus Stanford here. It was pretty good. It was pretty fun. My brother, it's really funny for me, actually, because my cousin is now currently is at Stanford, and my brother is a graduate of Oregon. And it's funny because my cousin sent me a Snapchat of her at the game. I'm like, go Ducks. I was more of a fan of the Ducks just because, my brother's older. Me and my cousin are basically the same age. She's a little older, while my brother's, 5 years older. So clearly, going to have some issues right there. I'm going to be a Ducks fan first. I wouldn't consider myself, a diehard Duck or, a Ducks fan, really. I mean, my brother went there. I have liked the team. I've really just liked, tons of teams in football. There's times where I've liked Denard Robinson's Michigans, Vince Young's, Longhorns, Bush's, Reggie Bush and Liner, SC, Trevor Lawrence, Dwayne Haskins, Ohio State, Tim Tebow's Florida Gators. But enough about that. Let's go to Michigan here, because Michigan, Jim Harbaugh, he totally needs to step up his game when it comes to big games. He has a losing record. He hasn't won a game as an underdog in college. So basically, if he's an underdog, he's not going to win. He hasn't won against Ohio State. So far, he's not going to win. Bad bowl record, bad BCS record, bad on the road versus ranked team record. Very atrocious here for someone who's getting paid $7 million a year, I believe. He's getting paid almost as much as John Gruden, and John Gruden's already stinking up the place, and now you're trying to stink up. You've been stinking up the place, actually. You wanted all this creative control. You had creative control over your new offensive court, your new fancy Corvette, straight out of the garage, new model, offensive coordinator. It's hip, it's now, it's wow, Daily Bugle, Spider-Man, Raimi trilogy. And guess what? You have faltered. Your offense has looked awful. Your offensive line has looked awful. You should have lost the Army game too, and that would have been a huge dent on you. You've got to shape things up, Jim Harbaugh. Your teams. Anyone who's played against your team and played on your team said, the physical teams. They're physical teams. You have looked soft. You've just looked like you don't care. You're cashing checks. Not too sure. But number 15, here's the only oddball one here. You can disagree with this one if you feel like it, but either way, even if you don't have it in the top 15, Texas A&M, you most likely have them somewhere in your top 20 or top 25, so not too big of a stretch here. But the Aggies here played the toughest schedule, according to me. They've played the Clemson Tigers and the Auburn Tigers, two of the three big Tiger schools, and they're both in the top 5. You can't, even if they sit out like probably the next 2 weeks, they'll still have the toughest schedule in the country. So I'm not gonna penalize a team that's playing 2 top 5 teams in the first 4 or 5 weeks. I'm just not going to. That's completely unfair. But obviously, it'll probably settle. They still have LSU and Bama to play. They still have other stuff. Who knows how that's gonna go? But yeah, at this moment, I'm gonna put A&M here because I believe they deserve the credit. They released attempting, and they almost won that. They almost came back in that Auburn game. Just a great play call on that last 4th down that could have got A&M the ball back. But if A&M got the ball back, they were gonna score. They were gonna Matt Hasselbeck. We want the ball. We're gonna score it. And enough with that. Let's go to my games of the week. Games to watch. So basically from now on, I did it last week, but this week as well, I'm going to pick games from different time slots. Just because, why would I have 3 games in the same time slot? Oh, games to watch. Well, you're going to watch one. There's only so many eyeballs and TVs in the world, people. So, maybe your work, it's a Saturday. Maybe you have Saturday work or, an event or something, either in the morning or afternoon or evening. So you want to know what game to watch at the time slot that's available to you. So if you're available for the again, Pacific Standard Time here. I'm from California. The 9 a.m. It is Texas Tech at Oklahoma. Joel Klatt, Gus Johnson will be covering that game. It is going to be on Fox. I only know that just because I literally will click on anything with Joel Klatt because he is my favorite mainstream college expert. He is amazing. He played college football at the University of Colorado. He was a quarterback, and he's a great analyst. And if you read any comment section on any video he's on with Colin Cowherd, they always call Joel Klatt Colin's daddy, even though Colin's older than him, because he straight up owns him every time in college football, and it is hilarious. You know what? And yeah, just do yourselves that favor. It is hilarious. But then, the 12:30 slot, we got Virginia at Notre Dame. It should be an ACC matchup, but it's not at the moment. But I don't know. Maybe Cavaliers. You're ranked like 18th in the AP. I don't care about my own rankings past 15, but if you want to jump in and boot Notre Dame out, go ahead. Go ahead and win this game on the road. You've got your shot. And then next, it is the 4:30, 5 o'clock. 5:30. These games always kick off like. It's the evening game, the big evening game for me, and it is Mississippi State at Auburn. It is a conference game for the Tigers. They're going to be home, but Mississippi State, it's the SEC. Nobody's a slouch, and really almost nobody's really a slouch here in college football. I mean, Appalachian State really, did it again this week with the upset. So that's, big time upsets for Appalachian State. And speaking of upsets, the UCF, you've lost your shot to be in a New Year's Six Bowl with that choke job in Pittsburgh, which was atrocious. I mean, always telling me, oh, we want the big boys, every time, when Bama fans said, we want Jacksonville or we want Cleveland, then they lose a college game. I can't take you seriously. I can't take you seriously, UCF, if you return most of your team from last year and you lose it again. You lost your shot. Eminem, you lost your shot. That was your only shot. Come on, man. It was the only opportunity that you got, and you lost yourself in the moment. You're choking him. And then that's pretty much going to be it here for the college football section here. Let's move on to the NFL. So now I'm not going to, show us the whole standing. I'm going to take a look at the playoff picture here. And if we take a look at the AFC here, the division with my favorite team here, there's really no debate here. These have been the top 6 teams in the AFC. And of course they've been the top 6 teams in the AFC. Kansas City, Buffalo, the Kings of New York, Houston Texans, Baltimore Ravens, New England Patriots, Indianapolis Colts. They've all been the top 6 teams in the AFC for, a while. And actually, I've called, 3 of them called being in the playoffs. I called the Texans, the Chiefs, and the Patriots. The Colts have surprised me, but, there's still time. The Buffalo Bills, they were probably around my in the 7 to 10 range. Chargers have been a disappointment, but then again, they did lose, so again, Melvin Gordon is out. Well, he's not out to injury, but he's out because he wants to be a whiny baby and hold out. But that's another story. Millionaires want a little more millions. That's just the way it goes. I mean, they're allowed to. It's whatever. But, you're making millions, dude. Stop complaining. It's already a baby league as it is. More self-entitlement and more allowing players to get away. So if you end up with more Antonio Browns, that's the way it goes. You give players too much power and they end up a lot more like Antonio Brown. And yeah, I know, extreme example, whatever. That's the example the owners are going to take. That's the example that Roger Goodell is going to take. And that's the example I'm going to take because that's how I perceive it at. That's how I see it at. I didn't see Megatron whining all the time. I didn't see Julio whining all the time. I didn't see Fitzgerald whining all the time. All right. That's his era's competition. But, man, oh, man, the Cleveland Browns, man, they let a fall from grace. It is not going to look good. They still got a tough matchups here. At Baltimore, at San Francisco. They still have the Patriots to play. It is not going to be a fun ride for the Cleveland Browns, who have a very good shot at being 3-6, 2-7 with 9 games into the season. If you look at that schedule, that is not pretty for a team that a lot of trolls said had Super Bowl contendership. A lot of trolls. But for the most general public said playoff contention. I even said it too. But I did also have the Steelers in there too. So I'm going to take my L on the AFC North at the moment. I'm going to take my L there. And I'm going to go talk about the Miami Dolphins here for a second. Just because, any analyst on ESPN5 who complains about the Dolphins tanking, you're 112% stupid. And you want to know why? Because I'm going to use this scenario. 49er fans, you might actually hate your team after this because your team could be even better. So the 49ers, when they traded for Jimmy Garoppolo, when they were 0-9, 0-9, folks. So on pace for the worst record in the league. On beautiful pace. Very beautiful pace. And this run running back was just wowing people in the NCAA. His name was Saquon Barkley. Now I see why guys know I'm going to get at this. Jimmy Garoppolo won 5 games as the starter for the 49ers when he was traded. No, they were 0-11. He won 5 in a row. He won 5 in a row for them. And they lost out on Saquon Barkley. And now, take a look at this. They have franchise QB, Garoppolo, check. Franchise coach, Kyle Shanahan, check. Number 1, receiving tight end, receiving option, George Kittle from Tight End University right now because Hawkinson and Fant, they're 2 of the best tight end prospects too as well. So Tight End University guy, check. And then add Saquon Barkley to this, not Breda and Mostert, but Saquon Barkley to this. You wouldn't just be 3-0 right now. You'd be looking like one of the top teams in the league. By far, all you had to do is tank a little. Just tanks. I know I had a friend and 9 friends no, I'm not trying to be like the Browns. Swallow that. You would have been better. I'm going to take another example. Let's go all the way back to when O.J. Simpson was tearing it up at USC. There's this great story of the Eagles were in prime position, worst record in the league. They draft O.J. Simpson. The fans saw this, and they started chanting, lose, lose. Then the Eagles started winning 1 or 2 games, and guess who ended up in Buffalo? O.J. Simpson, not Philadelphia. I'm going to go take it to 2003. The 2003 Vikings they just had to win this last game against the Cardinals again to the playoffs. The Cardinals were 3. They were 3-12. They were 3-12, folks. And so, what did they decide to do? They decided to ruin the Vikings season. And, this was the 03 going into the 04 draft. And guess who's in these drafts? If you would have had the number 1 pick, you would have had your shot at Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers, or Eli Manning, 10, 15-year quarterbacks. They've all played 15 years. 15-year franchise quarterbacks you missed out on just to ruin the Vikings' day and season. Remember, the Cardinals had horrible quarterback problems up until Kurt Warner got his revive. He got his revive. And then after that, when he was done, they got the last few years of Carson Palmer, but that's it. They would still technically not have needed, Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray, because they would have had, they'd still have Phillip Rivers or Eli Manning. Well, maybe not Eli, but maybe Eli, does better on the Cardinals with Fitzgerald. I mean, come on. You guys had it. Like, come on, you had a franchise QB in the palm of your hand and you didn't take it. Come on. The tanking does work. Like, look at the Philadelphia 76ers right now. Joel Embiid, he's a very popular player. He's got a great nickname, The Process, and it worked. I mean, gosh, man. Sam Hinkie, please save some of these franchises. But on to the NFC. I'm just, out of my wits' end here. The NFC, looking very competitive here. Teddy Bridgewater and the Saints actually beat the Seahawks. And that was just an amazing game. The Rams, they actually didn't look too great against the Browns, but that could have just been, that they're saving Todd Gurley, I guess. They're saving him. I don't know. Dallas Cowboys, one of the easiest schedules, but hey, a win's a win, and winning by a lot's also pretty nice too. Green Bay Packers are 3-0, but they've had very close games. The Niners, again, not too shabby, but they should have Barkley, but that's a story for another day. But their play calling looks fun. They looked fun as a team, and that was a great win against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Detroit Lions, they are 2-0-1, and what did I tell you guys, folks? If you watched my episode last week, you will know that I said, even though I picked the Eagles on the pigskin pick'em, I actually did say, hey, watch out, the Lions could win this game, and leave it. All behold, they actually did pull it off, and the Eagles, they need Nick Foles. That's the joke I'm going to run with until, the Eagles make the playoffs with Wentz, and Wentz stays healthy and wins them a Super Bowl. It's going to be they need Foles, but Atlanta, you have 3 great receiving options and haven't done diddly poo, to quote Jim Mora. The Panthers, Kyle Allen's okay. The Cardinals, again, they're not 0-3. They're in these games. They're scoring. They're getting touches, garbage time, but let's just, move on and go to our pigskin pick'em here. Week 3, I got 9 points here, but, only 2 games were actually out of hand here. The Tennessee Titans losing to the Jags by, more than almost 2 touchdowns, 27. I picked the Falcons, they lost to the Colts by 3. I picked the Eagles, but again, I did warn you guys, be worried, but, 3-point loss. I picked the Bucks over the Giants, but 1-point loss. I actually did go with the Cardinals, and that was a beatdown. That was the only Seahawks Saints, it could have been a beatdown, but it was within a touchdown, so I will take that. And Chargers Texans, I did not expect the Chargers to look that bad, but that was within a touchdown. So only 2 real blowouts, and I actually want to talk about this Saints-Seahawks game here because Russell Wilson did great for me in fantasy. He got, 3 touchdowns in the 4th quarter. And somebody, they made a post on Teddy Bridgewater. I said almost blew it. Of course I would, right? Because they let the Seahawks score 3 touchdowns in the 4th quarter, and they said, no, it was garbage time. 3 touchdowns in the 4th quarter is not garbage time. 3 touchdowns. One of them was very early into the 4th quarter. The other one sure was the last. That's the only one you can count as garbage time. I will give you 1 as garbage time. But if they score that 30 to 40 seconds earlier and get an onside kick, they are rolling down that field and scoring right there in Seattle. You know it. I know it. The world knows that. All right. The Saints were very close to blowing out. Lucky Seattle didn't get another possession. All right. I don't care. What are you going to do? Let Tom Brady score 3 touchdowns in the 4th quarter? Aaron Rodgers? Patrick Mahomes? Lamar Jackson? No, don't convince yourself, oh, it's garbage time, so it's okay. No, It's not okay to let any team score 3 touchdowns. This is the NFL, and it can come back to bite you. They have NFL talent. They have NFL coaches. They can easily build that momentum and just totally steal a victory from you, and that was very close. So congrats on the victory, but just don't do something stupid like that again. All right, let's go and take a look. And actually, I didn't do too bad here on my final score predictor. It was 21-17. It was actually what was it, 31-15 or 35-15? Yeah, 31-15. Not too bad. Not too bad. Just need that 10 points and -2. Not too bad here. So let's go and take a look all the way to our week 4. Yeah, week 4 here. This is a close game here. Eagles-Packers. It is a Thursday night. Expected to be either a crap palooza of both teams, one team outshining the other. Maybe you can get a good game out of both teams, but man, sorry for the Packers. They have 2 Thursday night games within the first 4 weeks. Come on. How is that even fair? Like, come on, they have 2 short weeks. Sure, they get the long weeks after, but still 2 short weeks within the first 4 weeks. That's not cool, NFL. Not coolio at all. They've been spending most of their lives in the Thursday night football paradise. All right. Well, besides Thursday night football, I'm rolling with the Falcons over the untrustworthy Mariota here. Falcons are home in the Dome. They should be good to go. Maybe get Calvin Ridley more involved this game. Next up, it is the Patriots-Bills, and even though the huge predictor, going Patriots, do not be surprised if the Bills win at home here, folks. Do not be surprised. They are well coached. Josh Allen's playing well. They got a #1 receiving target. Their defense is one of the top in the league. Do not be surprised if Buffalo does pull off the upset, but I will always roll with New England here. Just because it's my favorite team, Tom Brady, I will pick them, but I'm not surprised if they do lose, 1 game to the Bills. Next here it is the Browns at the Ravens. I'm going to roll with the Browns. No, I'm not rolling with the Browns. Psych, I picked the Ravens. You can see it. I'm picking the Ravens here, folks. I'm not trusting the Browns at all. That is a very bad choice. Next up, it is the Chiefs at Lions, and honestly, this is another game where, yeah, the predictor has it as, Chiefs all the way, but do not be surprised if the Lions get sneaky and make this a close game. They have a very good offense. They got Kenny Golladay. They got Kerryon Johnson. TJ Hawkinson did very well against the Cardinals, and who have a poor defense. And the Chiefs are very slouchy on the defensive end as well. I expect, again, Marvin Jones is on the Lions too. They have enough weapons to, keep this Chief defense the works. And Stafford, has played in the league a long time. So, and again, I told you guys about do not be surprised if Lions make this a football game either. Next up, it is the Oakland Raiders and the Indianapolis Colts, and I'm rolling the Colts all the way. They've looked extremely well with Jacoby Brissett, who's been in this system a while. The Raiders have looked lost. They've looked, Colt Gruden from last year. I got a cell phone here, and people are just dying to play for the Raiders. Oh, yeah, they're dying to play for the Raiders. They're dying on the field. That's what it is. They're dying to get to Vegas. All right, Chargers, Dolphins are tanking for Tua. Not even a question. Giants, Redskins. This could be closer than this says. This could be very close, folks. I mean, the Redskins did put up a good fight against the Eagles. They put up not so good against the Bears, but they did score 15 points in the second half. That's halfway closer to victory than they were. So don't be surprised here. Daniel Jones, just had a rookie explosion. Who knows if he comes back, to planet Earth or not. But next up, it is the Houston Texans and the Carolina Panthers. Houston Texans all the way. Well, I'm not too sure on Kyle Allen yet, but maybe he is the right answer for this future of the team. Who knows, but I'm going to roll with the home team. I'm going to roll with Deshaun Watson. He is healthy. But I could be wrong here. Again, I need to see more of Kyle Allen before I can perceive this team properly, but I'm going to go with what I know. Next up, it is the Rams and Buccaneers, and I expect the Rams to win at home, destroy Jameis Winston, make him go back to stealing crab legs for a living. Next up, it is the Cardinals and the Seahawks, and I expect this to be high-scoring. all over. I'm expecting, touches to Fitzgerald and David Johnson and Christian Kirk. And I expect DK Metcalf and, Tyler Lockett to get a lot of touches too. I'm going to roll with the Seahawks here because Arizona's still a young team, still trying to find their way. But again, Cardinals games have been fairly fun to watch. They've had a lot of points, so don't be surprised if Cardinals can end up making this close. Next up, it is a very tough game. And this could have been the Sunday night game, actually, folks. This is definitely very close to being a primetime game. Definitely, I'm watching this one the most on Red Zone. It is, that is weird. Why is this game on CBS? According to Pigskin Pick'em, this game is on CBS. 2 NFC teams are on CBS. Must have to do with the bye weeks, I guess, but that is very weird to me. I thought NFC was Fox, but bye weeks. I'm guessing a lot of AFC teams are on the bye week. I know the Jets are. But okay, let's just take a look here. We've got the Bears and the Vikings, and this is going to be a very close game. Vikings got a very strong run game. Bears got a very strong defense. Vikings have a solid defense. Bears can sometimes pull out a solid offense. They got a kicker now, so that's totally new, and it's going to be a great game here, folks. This is, again, close to prime. Next, it is Jacksonville at Denver, and considering it is at Denver, that is the only reason why I'm rolling with Denver here, folks. I've not been impressed with Jacksonville so much. They're being destroyed by Kansas City. Sure, they won against the Titans, but the Titans are a very inconsistent team, folks. That's just how it is. Next up, it is the Cowboys Saints, and Saints are home, and they did score 33 on the Seahawks in Seattle. This is going to be a very close game. That is closer than that. That is almost a 50-50 for me with Breeze or with Bridgewater because, Bridgewater's younger, more mobile, but, they still got Kamara, Michael Thomas. They still have the weapons, for a quarterback to succeed. Sean Payton's play calling, so you can anyone could really succeed here. I mean, Kyle Orton could probably do decent here. Kyle Orton could probably win this game for the Saints, if I'm being honest, just because, you give him Kamara, Michael Thomas, Sean Payton's play calling, it's a different story. But enough about that. This is Teddy Bridgewater. He's, trying out for the NFL again. And I'm going to pick the Saints here just because they're home. It's New Orleans. It's the Superdome, Mercedes-Benz Superdome. But that's about it. And then final game, Monday Night Football. It is division rivals collide, 0-3 versus 0-3, but both actually put up some solid games against the Seahawks. But it is the Bengals, it is the Steelers, and I'm going to pick Pittsburgh just because, again, newer head coach for Cincinnati. But I know these teams are 0-3, but they haven't looked that. I mean, the Bengals lost to the Bills, they've lost to the Niners, and they've lost to the Seahawks. Steelers lost to the Patriots, the Seahawks, the Niners. They're 0-3, but there's worse teams to be 0-3 to. It's not like you lost to the Dolphins here, okay? You didn't lose to the Titans here or whatever. But again, Monday night game, I think this is going to be a close game here, and that is going to be it for the show. I've projected the score, 21-17. Good night. Hope you enjoy the show. Keep watching. Share it with your friends. I'd really appreciate that. Again, keep watching. I'll be doing this, weekly. And keep watching the channel. I'm planning in the future to do top 10, top 20, top 30 lists of anything. I'm talking football. I'm talking, wide receivers. I'm talking artist songs, artist albums, Power Rangers, wrestling, whatever I feel like doing. I have this show, probably over with. It would definitely look more for that. But, because I like doing this show, but obviously I want permanent content. This will definitely be permanently on the channel, but it's useless, after it's week, pretty much. It's useless after that. But, again, I have fun doing it. Again, I want permanent content, which I'm going to be working on for now. But, I'm building an audience here in football because football is awesome. But, again, thanks for staying around for my epilogue. That was a wrong epilogue. What am I trying to be, Lord of the Rings? All right, stay tuned. That's all, folks.